Hey mama, if you're listening to this, you might be carrying a secret that feels too heavy to speak out loud. You look like you got it all together, you serve at church, maybe you even lead a Bible study. You smile when you drop off the kids, but no one sees the other side of you, the one that comes out behind closed doors. At home, you are a completely different person. You yell, you explode, you scream at your kids, sometimes in their face. You tell them to shut up. You grab them too harshly. You throw things across the room. You smack them in anger, twist their ears, spank them in rage, and immediately after, you are hit with a tidal wave of shame. You cry alone in your room and you whisper, "God, what is wrong with me?" You feel scared and disgusted by your own reactions. You're terrified that someone might find out. You wonder if your kids would be better off without you. You feel unworthy, broken, and too far gone to be redeemed. You try to fix this on your own. You listen to podcasts, parenting books, download freebies, but nothing changes. You keep falling back into the same patterns, and it feels like you are stuck in a cycle that you can't break. You don't trust yourself anymore, and if you're honest, you are afraid of who you've become. But here's the truth, Mama. You are not beyond hope. You're not alone, and with God's help and the right support, you can change. I'm Elizabeth, a mom of 4 and an anger management coach for Christian moms. And inside my Calm Christian Mom coaching program, I guide women just like you through a powerful transformation. This isn't shallow behavior management. We go deep. We address your triggers, your stress, your mindset, your nervous system, and the spiritual root behind your patterns. We invite God into every layer and walk hand in hand towards healing. In just 12 weeks, you can become a completely different mom, unrecognizable. One who leads with patience, not panic. One whose children feel emotionally safe around her. One who cultivates peace. This summer, I'm offering a Calm Mama strategy session, a powerful 15-minute one-on-one coaching session designed to help you uncover the root of your anger and receive spiritual, emotional, and practical support. It's your chance to experience what coaching is like with me before diving deeper into ongoing support. If we both feel like the full program is the next right step, we can talk about what that looks like for you. You don't have to keep living like this. Your family is worth healing, and so are you. Use the link in the show notes to book the Calm Mama strategy session. All right. Well, welcome. I am so thrilled that you are here. I'm glad that you were able to find me and hear about me. Anger is definitely something that many people struggle with. There's just so much shame and guilt, especially in Christian circles, and we just kind of keep it under wraps and we don't share about it with anyone else. And I will share with you a little bit about my story. I didn't do too much on the podcast this week, but I thought I was a pretty patient person, and then I had kids, and then I quickly learned I'm not so patient as I thought I was. Kids definitely bring sides out of you that you never thought you had, and you realize, oh my gosh, I have so much work to do in this area. God really needs to work on me in this area. And when I had my third son, so he was about a year or so. So yeah, that was a while back, 6, 7 years ago, because he will be almost 8. And so I struggled a lot at that time. He was little curious George. When he was like about a year and a half to 2, you'd get into everything. And I literally felt like I was just on guard all day long. I was constantly putting out fires and honestly felt really frustrated and on edge. And I would find myself yelling and reacting and being rough and unkind and yanking him and just, oh my gosh, he really challenged me as a mom. There were so many times where I just felt extremely frustrated and reactive. His thing was like when we would be driving in the car, he's a toddler, he would take off his shoe and he would like literally throw it at me.
or like throw it back somewhere in the car. And it was like winter in Minnesota. We lived at that time. And then he would take off his socks. And then we'd get to the place where we would get to, and I would feel so angry just because I couldn't find his shoes and his socks, and it was all over the car. And so I just remember feeling extremely frustrated in motherhood. And a friend of mine suggested for me to go to counseling. I did go to parenting counseling. And at that time, I learned a lot of tools. And then the problem was when I go home and I try to implement the things that I learned, it's almost like a parenting course in a sense. I don't know if you've ever bought like a parenting course. There's a lot of great tools. The problem is you go home, you have a triggering situation, and then everything you learned just goes out the window. Like literally, it's like that triggering moment comes, you feel so triggered, so frustrated, so angry. And even though you learn those tools, you cannot remember anything in the moment. And there's a reason for it. Your thinking brain is offline at that time. And so then you go back to your old ways of reacting, and then you're like, what the heck is going on? Why can't I just be able to implement the things that I'm learning? And so that was like my struggle with parenting counseling. And then shortly after I started that, I actually bought a course, my first course ever, like for moms. I think it was still kind of like a newer thing about 5 years ago, like buying a course. Now they're like everywhere. And I remember it was a course, it's called Unburdened, but it was about taking ownership of your days and your life. And so you're not constantly running on empty, taking care of yourself, some mindset shifts for moms. And I remember I really wanted to buy that course. At that time, the course was $99. And I came to my husband, and we were like really broke at that time. And I said, hey, I want to buy this course for $99. And what's his response? We don't have the money. That was his response, which realistically, we didn't really have the money, extra money sitting around. And and he's like, no, you can't. We don't have the money. And I just felt like that is what I needed to move forward. Like in motherhood, I just felt stuck.
Thank you.
And I tried the free stuff, and you can only, oftentimes only get so much with the free stuff until like you're like, I feel like I'm still stuck. And after like crying about it that day, the next day, I'm like, you know what? How can I come up with the money? Like, I don't like that response. I don't have the money for it. I'm like, how can it's $99? I can come up with the money. So I ended up finding something in our house that I could sell, and I made the money and I put it on the account, and I was able to buy that course. And honestly, that was the first step that for me at that time, $99 was a lot. And for me, that was a big investment that I decided that I will show up for myself. That was enough for me to show up for myself. And I did. I went through the whole thing. I implemented the things that I learned, and my capacity levels improved drastically. I was able to handle so much more as a mom. And then I was able to implement the things that I was learning in parenting counseling because I had more capacity. I wasn't running an empty. I wasn't feeling depleted. I had practical things that I was doing to support myself so then I could support my kids more. And so that was kind of a little bit of my story. And then once I started to learn these things, it like became so eye-opening to me. I'm the type of person that if I learn something and it works for me, I just cannot shut up about it. I'm going to tell all my friends, and I would tell all my friends about it. And then I already told all my friends, and I'm like, I don't know like who else to tell. Like, but this is so life-changing. And then I had an idea, why don't I start a podcast? And I did. And that's kind of where we are today. So the podcast first started to just share my journey, what I learned. And then as now it's 4 years old, as it has grown and evolved, and then I learned even more. I invested into more coaching programs myself. I learned even more skills. And then it got to a point where now I have a coaching program to support moms, specifically Christian moms that struggle with out of control anger. So today we're going to recap a little bit of what we learned in the 4 days. And so I will share my screen with you here in a second, and I will do a short recap of the 4 days. So on day one in the boot camp, we learned that anger is a secondary emotion. So anger is a messenger. It's telling you something going on. Sometimes you feel like, oh, I get angry for no reason. Well, the truth is there's always a reason. It's not possible for you to get angry for no reason. It's either your mindset, what your mind is telling you. It's either like unmet basic needs, which is extremely common for moms, like sleep deprivation. Sometimes we have babies. Sometimes we have health conditions. Sometimes it's our own doing by staying up so late, scrolling on our phones. Sometimes it's like we're physically not feeling well. Sometimes it's the clutter. Sometimes it's overcommitment, overstimulation. There's something going on underneath. A lot of times it's even unprocessed emotions. Like we're having a conflict with our husband and we feel bitter and resentful towards him. And then our kids are having a kid moment and we feel triggered and reactive towards them. Has nothing to do with our husband, our kids. It's that we feel triggered by our husband. And so I just wanted to share with you that there's always a reason why you feel triggered and reactive. It's never like, oh, it's happening for no reason. There is something underneath that. So, the second thing that we learned in day one was about the different types of parts of our brain when we experience emotions. Our thinking brain is right here. This is where we can logically think and learn new skills. This is you and me right now. We can problem solve. We can be kind and respectful in our thinking brain. Then, when we get to our feeling brain, this is when it comes out in our attitude and in our words and disrespect. We only see our perspective when we shift to our feeling brain. So when we feel some sort of trigger, our thinking brain gets turned off and then we go to our feeling brain. And we don't even want to hear the other person's perspective. We just want to push our agenda. We can only see how we are right and everyone else is wrong. And this is where a lot of attitude and disrespect comes up. This is when we're verbally unkind to others. We're still not like physically aggressive, but we're verbally maybe aggressive towards our husband or our kids and saying hurtful, destructive things. But like you're still can shift back to thinking brain. There's still a way to do that. But then when the stress builds up enough in our brain and a bunch of stressors, and if you continue to stay in that triggering, stressful situation, you will shift down to the survival part of the brain. And that's when you're there thinking brain completely offline. This is like when you have an aerial view of yourself, you're saying and doing destructive things to your family. You're screaming, you're throwing things, you're yanking your kids, you're spanking out of anger. You're literally like cannot control yourself. It's like a train going 1,000 miles an hour and you cannot stop yourself. And realistically, it feels nearly impossible to get to that point, like to stop yourself because your brain feels completely out of control. And so when we work together in my coaching program, I teach you how to recognize that you're switching to the feeling part of the brain and how to get you back to the thinking brain so you don't even get to the survival part of the brain. Because when you're there, honestly, realistically, everything you say and do is sinful and destructive. And it's extremely hard to stop. Extremely hard. Just like when your child is throwing a tantrum on the floor, like kicking and screaming, and you're trying to help them, like there's no learning in that moment. Like they're just so out of control. And that's how it happens when we feel in that part of the brain. So there's always a reason why you overreact and you feel easily angered. So our job is to get curious. Instead of what's wrong with me that I'm angry all the time, I ask all my clients and I teach them to ask the question, I wonder what's going on. When we are curious, then that shame kind of like pulls back and we're able to like understand what is going on. Like instead of, oh, I'm a terrible mom that I feel angry all the time. What is going on that I feel angry so often? There's nothing wrong with you as a person, but there's something going on underneath that is contributing to you feeling angry and triggered. And so, again, when you feel angry, it's not for no reason. Maybe if it seems like, oh, I was fine, and then I just flipped my lid, something was leading up to that. You missed the signs that you were getting escalated. They were there, you just did not pay attention to them. In day two, we learned that the reactivity is directly related to our high stress levels in the nervous system. The more you feel stressed out, the more you will find yourself feeling reactive and short-tempered with the kids. And so the best way to deal with stress is not really as much in the moment as it is to proactively focus on what is in your control that you can do to lower your stress. And that's what we do in my coaching program. The first half of the program, we work on? Like, how can we proactively support you so then you're not feeling so stressed and triggered and reactive? Are you feeling overscheduled? Is that like, are you feeling overstimulated? Is that what's causing your stress? Is it like a messy house? Is it your mindset, your thoughts that you're like micro controlling, and that is creating that stress in your mind, and then you feel short tempered? So we need to shift your mindset. Like, so what do we do to reduce controllable stressors so then you just have more capacity as your day goes on? And one of the biggest thing that I come across is, as I work with moms, is moms feeling completely depleted, run down. They take care of everyone else. They take care of their kids. They take care of their spouse. They take care of the house. They say yes to so many things. And then they're feeling completely depleted, run down, running and empty. And they have nothing else to give. And that's when the reactivity comes in. And so I teach you guys that taking alone time for yourself and taking care of yourself is actually a blessing to your family. I love this quote that I heard somebody say one time: nobody benefits when you're running on empty, and nobody suffers when you take care of yourself as a mom. That is one of the best things that you can do for your family. And you're actually modeling to your kids that you matter too. It's not that, oh, I'm more important than everybody else, and I get to have, alone time for 5 hours and nobody touch me. It's like, no, I am important too, and I matter too. I am the daughter of the king. Like Jesus constantly, he was surrounded by crowds, and then he would retreat and be by himself to spend time with the Lord and just to be by himself because he needed that. So then he would get refilled and re-energized, and then he would give more to others, right? And so taking care of yourself is not selfish. If you have those thoughts, oh my gosh, it's so selfish, I'm taking time away from my family. We work a lot on that in my coaching program to help you shift your perspective. This is my favorite, day 3. I love mindset. Mindset is absolutely transformational. So we learned that your thoughts, the thoughts that you have, directly affect your feelings, and that directly affects your actions. If you have thoughts, my kids are not listening to me on purpose to make me mad, you feel really frustrated and agitated, and your actions are not aligned with who you want to be, because it's extremely hard to feel frustrated and have really good actions. Possible, but it's really, really hard. And in my program, when we work together, we go back to like, how do we shift your thoughts? And in the moment, how do we shift your thoughts? How do I take that thought captive and redirect it so then I feel empowered instead of having attitude? And so your thoughts plus your feelings equals your attitude. So if you find yourself having a negative attitude towards your kids, towards your family, towards your husband, feeling bitter, resentful, and that comes out in just unpleasant attitude, we need to come back to your thoughts, because if we change your thoughts about the circumstance doesn't have to change, but you can change your thoughts, and that will change your feelings, and it will change your attitude, the way that you handle it. And the example I brought up in the podcast episode about a crying baby at night. If your baby's crying at night and you're like, oh my gosh, again, she's crying, she's not letting me sleep, why is she doing this to me? And you go towards the baby in the middle of the night and you already feel agitated. You feel that annoyance inside of you. Maybe you are even a little bit rough with the baby, versus like you have that thought. You can't control the thought that comes in, but you can control what you do with the thought. So maybe you have that thought, oh my gosh, again, she's crying at night. She won't let me sleep. And you're like, wait, hold on. That's not true. She wants rest too. She's calling me because I am her safe person. And really, I want to comfort her. I want to be there for her. And this is a way for me to be a safe person for her and comfort her because I love her. And so when we shift that thought into an empowering perspective, you feel differently. You feel compassion towards the baby. She doesn't want to cry in the middle of the night. She wants to sleep too. She wants comfort. And this is the only way she can communicate. You have a completely different attitude. You're so much more gentle and kind towards your baby. So when you have negative thoughts, you can challenge them and redirect those automatic negative thoughts and by learning how to take your thoughts captive. And we work significantly on that in my coaching program. I would say if the biggest thing that moms learn in my coaching program, it is how to redirect your negative thoughts, how to recognize you have a negative thought that's not supporting you, and how to redirect it into a thought that is supportive and helps you show up as who you want to be. Because the circumstance doesn't have to change. The baby is still crying 2 a.m. That's the circumstance. But you can have a negative thought about it and have a negative attitude, negative feeling, negative attitude, or an empowering thought with calming, peaceful feelings. And then you have a completely different way that you handle it. And then in day 4, we learned about breaking generational anger. So here's the thing. Anger does get passed on from generation to generation because most of us were never modeled how to handle anger in a healthy way. And there's 3 unhealthy ways that people deal with anger. They either take it out on others by exploding, saying and doing hurtful things, and using anger to control others and intimidate others. The other thing is like suppress it. You suppress it, you turn it in on yourself, and it turns into a lot of negative self-talk and a lot of depression and anxiety. And so you just say a lot of mean things to yourself about yourself. Or you numb it with unhealthy ways, with drinking, with scrolling on your phone constantly, escaping through social media. It could be shopping, it could be overeating, but you are trying to numb the hard feelings of spending, drinking is really common, even in Christian circles as moms, because your day feels so hard with the kids, you turn to wine to try to suppress your hard emotions instead of figuring out what is contributing to that, what is in my control that I can do something about, how can I shift things, how can I redirect things. And then your kids see that. Your kids see the way that you handle anger, how you handle your emotions, how you handle your frustrations, and they will repeat that. One of my favorite examples that I heard that I shared on the podcast is from Chip Ingram. I remember I was like a young mom when I was listening to one of his parenting DVDs, and he was sharing that he's like, you need to be able to tell your kids, follow Jesus the way I follow Jesus, read the Bible the way I read the Bible, and deal with anger the way I deal with anger. And for some reason, that was like over 10 years ago, and it really stood out to me because emotions and feelings and anger, we all deal with it. It's not going anywhere. You're going to deal with that feeling for the rest of your life. Same thing as your kids. You just need to learn how to deal with it in a productive way that's non-destructive. You're still going to have angry feelings. I can't take that away from you. Nobody can, because God designed us in that way. It's how you manage those feelings. Are you taking it out on others? Are you taking it out on yourself? Are you numbing it? Or are you able to recognize, hey, I'm getting escalated, and this is what I need to help myself feel better, to process these emotions instead of taking it out on your family. The problem with anger is that it damages relationships with your loved ones. That would be the biggest thing with anger. When you feel angry and you don't have control over it, you will say and do hurtful things. You just will. And that damages relationship with your spouse and with your kids. And then nobody wants to be around an angry person. The Bible talks about it a lot. Stay away from angry people. If you're surrounded by angry people, you're going to be more angry. So nobody wants to be around an angry person. They're not even pleasant to be around. And the truth is, nobody can make you angry. You feel angry because of XYZ. It's not your kids that are making you angry. It's not your husband that's making you angry. You feel angry because of what you're thinking and doing. And something is contributing to that, but it's not other people's behavior. Yes, it might trigger you, but you're still responsible for your anger. When you stand in front of the Lord, He's not going to, you can't be blaming, well, my kids made me angry. That's why I did XYZ. It's no, I felt angry and I did this, and I'm responsible for my own actions. You are responsible about what you think, say, and do when you stand in front of the Lord. You cannot blame it on the kids. Eve tried blaming her actions on the serpent. Adam was blaming his actions on Eve instead of taking ownership and responsibility. So we are responsible for our own actions. And our kids repeat everything we do. You are literally their biggest influence. And especially as a stay-at-home mom, which I am as well, like I spend a lot of time with my kids. They see everything we're doing. We model that to them. We're so influential in their lives. So if we want our kids to manage their emotions well, it starts with us. And so healthy ways to cope need to be taught, because if you don't learn them, you're going to default to unhealthy ways to cope with stress. I would love for you to share with me in the chat, what was your biggest takeaway from this podcast series this week? What is something that you learned that maybe you didn't know before? And you're like, wow, that was so eye-opening for me. That was a big takeaway. Lorena, my biggest takeaway was realizing just how important thoughts are and how, if I can change them immediately or redirect them, I can change my actions and interactions. Yeah, we can. We can. And I teach you in the program also when we work together is how do you practically do that? How do you create a new pathway in your brain? Because you have automatic negative thoughts to attach to certain situations that happen over and over again. So if your kids do certain things over and over again, you have specific thoughts that come in that contribute to your feelings. So how do you change your thoughts? How do you create a new pathway in your brain to have a new thought and have a new action when you have a similar situation with your kids? And like, I actually teach you exactly how to do that, because again, we will feel triggered. How do we not go default to our old ways of reacting? Jesse, my biggest takeaway is also how important your mindset is. And I like the iceberg examples. Yeah. Yes. And so anger and curiosity cannot coexist. When we're curious about someone's behavior, we can't feel angry about their behavior, like our kids, our husband. Same thing about our anger. Be curious about your anger. It's a messenger. It's telling you something's going on. Like, instead of what's wrong with me, that's a shameful question. I wonder what's going on with me. Gloria said, I was reminded that I must take time out to take care of myself in order to be more efficient in taking care of others. Yes, 100%. And my thoughts determine my attitudes. Thus, I must take my thoughts captive and make them more positive. And Rose, I am responsible for my anger 100%. And that is a hard one, because when we feel angry, we like to blame on other people, that it's their fault. You made me angry. And that is a victim mentality. You give all your power away. So if somebody can make you angry, how long do they get to keep you angry? You give your power away to others when you say, you make me angry. Like that you are, yes, like that is giving your power away. And so my goal with this boot camp was to help you understand why you are struggling with anger. And what I have found is that moms that want to intentionally change their ways is they need to go a little bit deeper and to stay in this work. And for some of you, that's not the right thing in this season, but for some of you, you want to learn a little bit more about how to take the next step to work with me. So right now I'm going to take about 10 minutes to share with you about my coaching program. If that is something that you want to hear and learn a little bit more about, and then I will answer your questions. I had one person submit a question into my email, and then anybody else can either unmute themselves or put a question in the chat. And it's literally like free coaching for you. And I will be able to share just my expertise with you. So right now, I'm going to share my screen with you, and I will share with you about my coaching program. So I have a coaching program that's been around for a year and a half now. It is called Calm Christian Mom, and it's a 12-week coaching program that will empower you to break harmful anger patterns, cultivate peace in your home, and transform you to an emotionally patient and calm mom. So how do you know if this program is for you? Because it's not for everybody, but this is how you know it is for you. You feel short-tempered and reacting in anger over the little things with your kids. You are recognizing that anger is ruining your relationships because you say and do things in anger that you later regret and have remorse over. Your kids don't enjoy being around you. You feel unsafe, and they feel unsafe telling you the truth about something that they did because they know if they do that, you are going to overreact. You're feeling overwhelmed, burned out, and triggered all the time. Like that is your norm and your baseline. You've prayed for your anger to go away, and it's still there. You are consumed with negative self talk, guilt, and shame, especially about the way that you are as a mom and the way that you handle your kids. Your husband says that you have anger problems and that you need help. And he misses the way that you used to be when you guys first got together. You're filled with bitterness and resentment towards your kids or your spouse, and you don't even recognize yourself and the person that you have become. So, in my coaching program, these are the things that we work on specifically. So, we dive deep in what happens in your brain when you have emotions. You are learning how to be aware of your triggers and proactively lowering your stress levels so you have more capacity. So, then we learn about how to proactively regulate the nervous system to increase your tolerance levels. So, your nervous system can only handle so much. So, what can you do proactively to calm your nervous system so then you have more tolerance levels when things are not going your way instead of feeling super triggered? You learn how about processing and releasing negative emotions in a healthy way, how to stay calm in triggering moments with your kids instead of reacting in anger or even your spouse. Because this work, it's not just applied to motherhood. I mean, a lot of it is helpful for moms, but it also can be directly influenced in your marriage and applied to your marriage. How to take your thoughts captive and shifting from negative to empowering thoughts, how to stay calm and regulated when your kids are having big emotions. Because here's our big feelings, and then we have our kids' big feelings, right? And how do you stay calm when they're having a meltdown? Because you can't control them. You can only control yourself, what you think, say, and do. And how to overcome mom guilt, negative self talk, and shame. So this is how your life is going to change after working together for 12 weeks. You'll be able to cope with stress and anger and overwhelm in a healthy and effective way. You will feel more peaceful, calm, and stable and empowered as a mom. You will enjoy being a mom and feel proud of the way that you show up for your family. And that is huge. Like just about every mom that goes through the program and does the work, she completely feels differently about her kids. She doesn't feel so annoyed, or like really, she doesn't feel annoyed anymore by her kids. And there might be a day here and there because, we're not perfect, but that's not the norm anymore. You will know exactly what is contributing to your triggers and how to manage them. And you'll have a closer and safer relationship with your spouse and kids. You will believe and know that you are the best mom for your kids. You'll be able to communicate your hard emotions and needs effectively and model Christ and leave an emotionally healthy legacy for your kids. Here's what is included when you decide to join the coaching program. So we have pre-recorded step-by-step training. So every week you have lessons, video lessons, or you can just listen to the audio version, or it's just me talking to a camera, so you can just put a headphone in. But you have trainings, and each training comes with reflection questions. So it's different than you would go to therapy, right? Because in therapy, you come, you talk, you leave, and then you forget what you talked about by the time you came back next time. So this program is like, once you make your payment, you get access to week 1. And then you are watching the trainings and then your reflection questions that you answer after each video. And then you submit them to me for accountability. And then we have live weekly group coaching calls that are 60 to 90 minutes long. You also get 3 one-on-one calls in the beginning, middle, and at the end of the coaching program. And then for 12 weeks, when we're working together, you download an app called Boxer. And this is where you have direct access to me for support, accountability, and any individual questions. And this is where you submit your homework assignments to me. That's how I keep you accountable. And then you have lifetime access to the content. So right now I'm offering some bonuses. If you enroll through March 22nd, you get a stress relief package in the mail. That's about $100. And that is a book that I send you, and bath salts, and body butter, and essential oils, and a journal, and some pens, and a candle, just to kind of like support you on this journey. And then you get 2 bonus calls with me. So at 3 months after you're done with the coaching program and at 6 months after finishing the coaching program, I reach out to you and we set up a one-on-one call. And I just check in with you, see how you're doing. And if there are things that you want coaching on that came up in life, I'm there to support you. And this is a biggie right now. So you get 4 additional weeks of group coaching calls. So Monday through Friday, Voxer support, one-on-one access to me. So normally, actually, I forgot to change the price on that. That would be more than that because the coaching price went up in the new year. But so instead of 12 weeks of working together, you get 16 weeks of working together. So in case like you had a busy week, you feel a little bit behind with the homework assignments, or you just need a little bit additional support, you have an additional 4 weeks included in the price. And then my program is 100% money back guarantee, which is my favorite part because if you do your part, which means watching the trainings, doing the homework assignments, submitting them, coming to the live calls, taking action on the things that I teach you, and then you're checking in with me 3 times a week through Voxer, well, I'll reach out to you and you are responding to me. And if you don't reach the goals that you set for yourself in the beginning of the program, I'll give you a full refund at week 12. And we sign a contract on that. Here's what you can expect from me, that I will respond to your messages Monday through Friday within a couple hours. I will check in with you 4 to 5 times a week for support. Definitely like 4 times a week, I check in with you, see how you're doing, how things are going for you to submit your homework assignments. And then we have the weekly live coaching calls on Thursdays at 1 p.m. Eastern and 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And then you get 3 one-on-one calls. I pray over you, I encourage you, I support you, I keep you accountable. And then you have answers to any individual questions. And then you got my commitment to show up. So right now, the investment of the program is $39.97 if you pay in full, or you can make 3-month payment plan. Or I partner through a firm on the checkout page where you can take a loan through a firm, and they can even do, depending on your credit history, 6 or even 12 months interest free, depending on your credit history. And so, which is a really great option. And then even the first 30 days, you don't make the payment, you make your first payment after the 30 days, after you sign up. So that is an option for you as well. So when you enroll into the coaching program, you get access to week 1 lessons right away. And we start working together right away. And you sign a legally binding contract for us to work together. You get an onboarding email from me. There's a questionnaire kind of for me to learn a little bit about your goals and what you want to achieve working together. We schedule your first one-on-one call. You download the Voxer app, and then you and I can communicate through there, and then you get your stress relief package in the mail in a few days from Amazon. I wanted to share with you a few client wins. This is Brandy on top. She just finished the coaching program about a month ago. And she said, when I started Calm Christian Mom coaching program, I felt that I was at my rock bottom. I was so bitter and angry towards my family. Today, my relationships have improved greatly. Our house seems so much more peaceful, fun, and happy. There is no tension there anymore. We have grown as a family, and I am so thankful. I feel like a great mom now. I have tools that I need to be able to remain calm and a loving mom and wife. I feel like a much happier person altogether. And I will release her podcast interview next week on my podcast. But her biggest thing that she came in was negativity, like lots of negative thoughts that were contributing to frustration and anger. And the second thing was control, like completely trying to micro control her son, because one of them is her stepson that doesn't live with them, but one of them is her son, and micro controlling him massively. And that would create so much tension, and like making that mental shift to choosing to let some things go was huge for her. And we worked a lot on that. So Brittany was actually my first client that went through this coaching program, and she joined because of generational anger in her family. That was something that was passed on from her grandma to her parents to her, and she wanted to break that pattern. And she said, before Calm Christian Mom, I was loud, reactive, stressed out, and overwhelmed as a mom. Today, I am a calmer, more responsive mom who is way better at communicating where I am at and what I need from my family. And Amber, she is a homeschooling mom. She said, when I started the program, I was in a place of frustration and negativity and self talk every day. I was reacting from emotions and not showing up as who I wanted to be as a mom. And I felt stuck in a cycle. The program has been so life giving and life changing. And the tools that I've learned and put into practice has helped me so much to show up as the mom that I want to be for my homeschooling son. So Taylor actually joined my coaching program. She felt extremely like she experienced rage on a regular basis with her toddlers. She stayed home. Her husband worked a lot of hours and still worked a lot of hours, even when we were done working together. And she was home with toddlers all the time. And she was to a point where she was like punching walls. Like she felt so much rage on a regular basis, obviously filled with so much remorse and shame, and completely felt hopeless. And one of her friends heard me on a different podcast as a guest and shared it with her. And she ended up coming across one of my episodes that I had in the fall, probably in like September. And it's like, is your anger normal or do you need help? And when she listened to that podcast episode, she's like, oh my gosh, this is exactly me. Like I'm a completely different person at home than I'm in public. It's like in public, I'm like trying to be like so nice with my kids. I come home and it's like there's a switch and I'm just screaming, yelling, and just being rough and unkind with the kids and just hating herself and crying herself to sleep on a regular basis. And just even a few days after in the coaching program, she was able to like start seeing positive changes just because right away, as soon as you start working with me, I'm there to support you. And you can message me like, hey, I'm having a really hard day with the kids. This and this happened. And like, I respond to you usually within a couple hours. And if I can't, I'll be like, hey, I'll respond to you a little bit later today. But usually I respond to you pretty quickly. And like, I help you shift your perspective. I give you a practical tool that you need. If it's literally prayer that you need, I pray over you. Like, I'm there to support you as much as you can. And she, by the time we stopped working together, completely shifted the way that she was showing up as a mom. She was so calm and peaceful and just so understanding and compassionate towards her children. Instead of when her kids are having a hard moment, as toddlers do, instead of freaking out with them, she was able to be that calm, grounded presence for them. And so I'm just like, her testimonial is like one of my favorites. So if you go to my website, emotionallyhealthylegacy.com, and if you, when you're done with the call, and just go to the testimonial tab, you're going to see her video on there. And I just encourage you to watch it. And there's other moms there as well. But just to hear their stories, it's going to give you hope that, first of all, I'm not the only one that's struggling with this. And it is so possible to change. We all have our own battles to fight. Somebody fights the battle of being greedy, and that's their battle to fight. Somebody, it's anger. Somebody else, it's like unforgiveness. Somebody else, it's like communication. Somebody else, like everybody has their own battles to fight that, like, is their battle. And so if this is something that you feel like God is calling you to fight, and you are so done feeling like an angry mom and constantly yelling and screaming at your kids, and you want the positive changes in your life, I can guarantee you that working together is going to transform your life. Your husband's going to benefit from it, your marriage, your relationship with your kids. Like, you have nothing to lose. There's 100% money back guarantee in this program. If you show up and you do the work, you're able to see such positive transformation in your life. So that is my spiel. If this is something that is calling your name, I will have emails that will be sent out to you today and then the next throughout the week. And there will be a link over there, and I can put it here in the show notes as well, to book a free consultation call with me. And we get on the call and you share with me what is going on with you in your life. How is anger affecting your relationships? And then if I feel like you are a good fit for my program, because not everybody's the best fit for this program, I only want to work with moms that are ready and willing to do the work. Because if you're in here and you're like, I'll try it out, like, no, this is for the mom that's like, I'm sick and tired of being this way and I'm ready to do something about it, ready to do the work. And so book a consultation call and we'll talk. And if you're the mama that is meant to work with me, God is going to provide a way for you to do that. So I will answer one question that I was submitted to me through the email, and then I will see if anybody else has any questions. So one of the moms said, if I'm overstimulated, what can I do to avoid immediately yelling and reacting sharply? So I do have an episode that I released maybe like a month and a half ago, episode 246, and somebody else like submitted that question about overstimulation and how that contributes to feeling overreactive. And that's a real thing. Overstimulation is a real thing. So if we're just trying to focus on tools in the moment, it's going to be really hard. I can give you tools for in the moment, but the biggest thing that I would suggest is doing things proactively to lower your stress levels and to create some stillness and quiet in your day. So, for example, if you wake up at the last minute with your kids and you just jump into your day and you go, 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 go all day long, yeah, by 5 p.m., you're overstimulated and you're like easily triggered with your kids, and someone's having a meltdown and you're cooking dinner and someone else is screaming and the TV's going. Yes, you will feel overstimulated. But if we wake up an hour before our family and we spend time with the Lord and we are just in silence, peace and calm, like that calms our nervous system and that allows us to have more capacity throughout the day. Turning off your phone notifications so your phone is not dinging constantly and distracting you. The other thing is getting off social media. That creates huge overstimulation. Just don't even have those apps on your phone unless you're working on social media. Like, and even then, there's still ways to set, boundaries around that. Those are some like proactive things. Another one of my clients right now, she's a full-time lawyer and she has about a 15-minute drive home after work. And she would constantly like be on the computer at work, doing things on her phone, on the computer, and then driving home, listening to more things. And I challenge her, I'm like, part of the reason you feel so triggered when you come home is because you're feeling overstimulated. And I need you to do two things. Middle of the day, step outside and get a little break from the computer, from the screens. Like if you are with the kids, if you don't have quiet time, if you stay home with your kids and you're stay-at-home mom, if you don't have quiet time in the afternoon, like you're missing out. Even with older kids, like after lunchtime, it's quiet time in our house, like all the time. Even on weekends, I have older kids that are home, like quiet time for them and for me. And that creates some quiet in your day. So you're not constantly go, 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 and you're feeling overstimulated in the afternoons. And then the other thing that I was going to say, oh, and for my client, I also had her on her drive home is not listen to anything. No podcasts, no music, no phone calls. Take those 10, 15 minutes when you drive home, just complete silence to transition from work and like open the window now that it's going to get nicer outside for most of you. I live in Florida, so it's beautiful right now. But so like open the window, listen to the birds, get some fresh air, or just drive in silence. Like one of my practical things is on my way to pick up my kids from school, I don't do anything on my phone. I don't answer messages. I just it's completely silent on my drive to pick up the kids from school. I have a toddler in the back. Typically, she's pretty quiet for the most part. And it's a 5-minute drive, but it allows me to calm my mind that when my kids do get in the car and everybody's sharing something and someone's fighting and arguing, like I have more capacity because I'm not constantly overstimulated and, doing things like giving myself a lot of stimulation. Another practical thing is to reduce overstimulation is not multitasking and listening to like an audiobook or a YouTube video or podcast while you're dealing with your kids and you are doing things with your kids, because then your kids need you and you're listening to something here, and like your brain cannot do both at the same time. And then you're feeling more annoyed towards your kids. And that feels really overstimulating. But in the moment, if possible, you're like, okay, I feel overstimulated. What can I do right now to help myself feel better? Can I send my kids downstairs in the basement, have them play over there? Can I send them outside? Can I turn off the TV? Can I turn off the music? I have a kid that always loves to listen to music, and it's like ridiculous music. I'm not like, he literally searches for most annoying sounds in the world. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, this his playlist, it's like you just need to like have a special tolerance for it. So I will be like, okay, Philip, put on your headphones. If you want to listen to the music on the iPad, put on the headphones, because I don't want to listen to that music. Like, I feel overstimulated. And just communicating with your kids, I feel overstimulated and I need a break. This is what I need to help myself feel better. Is it going to your room, laying on your bed, closing your eyes, no phone, just take some deep breaths for 5 minutes? Is it stepping outside, if it's nice outside enough for you, and be able to just sit in silence for a little bit and reduce any of that extra input that is coming at you when you're at home? Is it communicating with your spouse like, hey, I feel overstimulated right now and I need like 10-minute break. Can you please take over with the kids so I can decompress for a little bit? And you either go for a walk, or you literally just like go hop in and take a hot shower, do something for yourself to remove yourself from that constant noise and stimulation. So those are some like practical things that you can do, but the biggest thing is doing the stuff proactively. So then you have more tolerance, because if you don't do any of that stuff proactively and you're going to just rely on the in the moment strategies, they still work, but it feels 1,000 times harder. I don't feel overstimulated as much because I do the proactive things, but I used to. And that was part of the reason why I was reacting a lot as a mom when I had 3 boys. And when I started this work, I was overstimulated a lot. And having a solid morning routine with quiet and turning off phone notifications was the biggest game changer for me to have so much more tolerance. All right. I hope that answered that question.
I'll ask a quick question. So the quiet time, my son is 4 and we're just having the hardest time. He won't stay in his room for the quiet time. During the day, this used to be our normal routine, and now he's in preschool and they have their own routines. But on the weekends when he's home, we want to have that rest time. And he's not super compliant in general, but he really struggles with that. And it really activates my anger when he won't comply with that, because I know I need that break and he needs it too.
Yes. Oh, yes. I totally understand, because I have a toddler who was 3.5. And we literally just like a few weeks back, so she was still in the crib, and she had like this tent that would go over the crib and like go under her mattress. And I would like zip her in there, take her potty first, put her in there, give her some toys and snacks. She would literally stay there for 2 hours, because I mean, she's been doing it since she was a baby pretty much. And that's how I would get my work done. Well, she got big enough and to realize that she can just rip that thing. So she completely tore it. And so we had to transition to a toddler bed. And this is like my work block. This is when I work during her quiet time. And she would literally just come out of the room. And guess what? I felt frustrated. I'm like, and then I had to be like, okay, what can I do that's in my power and in my control? Because if I would send her back in there, so then we came up with one thing. Because like right now at the moment, she is watching a cartoon. Typically, she's not, just because I'm on this call and I don't want to be able to go back and forth. Sometimes my husband works from home and he can take care of her, but he's not able to do that today. But typically, I just have her in the room over there, and I have toys for her. I take her potty, I give her snacks, and I have a visual timer. Have you ever seen those? Like visual timer that you can get on Amazon, and it like you have like an hour or something. You can usually 16 minutes, and it, like the color changes as there's less time. And I put it at a surface where she can't reach, and be like, okay, this is how long you need to stay in the room for quiet time. And you can start out with 15 minutes and 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and you can, add with time. And this is what you can do. Oftentimes the kids have a hard time engaging in an activity. So if he likes magnet tiles, starting to play magnet tiles with him, be okay, I can play with you for 5 minutes. And then you tell mama, it's my alone time and you can go. And then you're going to stay in your room during that time. And we have a timer set. And so I also have a lock on my daughter's door from the outside. There's plenty of toddler locks that you can get so she is not able to open her door and get out of the room. And so I would say, okay, you need to stay in your room. And if you keep coming out, I will lock the door. Because she's old enough to understand that. And she doesn't want me to lock the door. So then she's like, okay, I'll stay in my room. And if she chooses to come out, then I will lock the door. And if you say, Mom, if you need to go potty, if you need a snack, I usually give her a snack. But I'm like, if you need to go potty, you can call me and I will come and help you. So that's kind of like how we do it. But it's just a training thing. It's over and over and over and over. And if you just shift your mindset, like I expect my toddler to come out as we are like doing this training transition, like you won't feel so frustrated, because if you have the expectation he shouldn't be coming out this whole time for an hour, well, what happens when he does? You feel really mad. But if you have the expectation, I am training him to stay in quiet time, and it's normal for him to come out as I'm teaching him how to stay in quiet time. Like you're expecting your brain and now is expecting, like when he comes out, I will tell him the rules again and I will guide him back to his room. And then again, when he comes out, I will tell him the rules and like guide him back to his room. And when you have that expectation in your mind, you feel more empowered instead of feeling frustrated about it. Like I expected my toddler to come out of a room because like because she can now, right? She's not in a crib that's zipped up, so she's able to. And so and I have a plan what I'm going to do and how I'm going to teach her to stay in there. And so that's kind of like how I handle it in that type of situation. But if we're expecting and telling our mind he shouldn't be coming out, well, you can't control other people's actions. You can only control what you say and do. And what happens when he does? Because you shouldn't be coming out. Well, he is coming out. Then what? Like if we just keep arguing with our mind, with reality, this shouldn't be happening. This shouldn't be happening. Well, it is happening. Like if we accept that it is happening and this is what I'm going to do about it, we feel empowered versus this shouldn't be happening. This shouldn't be happening. He shouldn't be doing this. We feel triggered, angry, and out of control in that situation. Does that make sense? Is that helpful for you? Yeah. Okay. All right. And let's see here. Lorena says, how did you initially begin changing your thoughts? Did you tell yourself stop, pause, and change? Also, how do you react when your child tells you no and won't stay in time out? He's 5. You just answered that one. Okay. Repetition. Yes. That one. Yes. You just repeat over. I'm going to help you go back to your seat. It's timeout. I need you to stay in timeout. You chose not to listen to mom. You need to stay in time. I will help you. He walks out. I'm going to help you. This is where you need to stay. You can do the visual timer. The visual timer is really helpful. They just, they're on Amazon for like $15, $20. Just don't let your kids play with them because they'll probably mess them up. But how did you change your negative thoughts? So the biggest thing is how I did that is doing it through journaling. So recognizing this is the circumstance where I feel triggered a lot. What am I choosing to think in that circumstance? What is my normal thought? And when I think that thought, how do I feel? And what are my actions? Is that thought supporting me in the mom that I want to be? Obviously not. So what is a new thought that I can create? Or like in my coaching program, I give you a lot of like prompts for new thoughts, but what is a new thought that can be supporting in that situation instead of causing more frustration? So when you do it in a journaling, then I teach you like vision writing in my program about how to role play it out in your mind and what you're going to think, say, and do in the circumstance. So when that circumstance does happen, you already role played it in on paper, so then you're a lot more likely to remember it. So like, for example, one of my negative thoughts that I was telling my clients on the coaching call yesterday is I have like a whole thing with time. Look, I have an issue with time where and my thing is I don't have time for this, or this is wasting my time. Like those are my negative thoughts. And so I would find myself that even this was maybe like a year and a half ago. Yeah. Like it wasn't like even super like extremely long ago. But so my 7-year-old cannot brush his teeth well. And I need to help him. Because if he doesn't do a really good job. And then he already has so many cavities. So anyways, I need to help him. And as I'm helping him with his teeth, he's like resisting me. And it's like 9 p.m. And my mind is like, I don't have time for this. This is wasting my time. And I would even say to him out loud, you're wasting my time. I don't have time for this, to deal with this. Like, I want to go to bed. You're wasting my time. And it's not like a destructive necessarily or hurtful phrase, but it's definitely not a hopeful phrase. It's not something I want my kid to remember that oh, my mom would tell me you're wasting my time. And I remember sharing this with my mindset coach, and she's like, imagine your child standing in front of the mirror, and any you are statement you say to them, they look at themselves and they say it to themselves as I am statement. If we just say, you're annoying, you're lazy, you're, whatever. And I would say to my son, you're wasting my time. And she's like, imagine that he's standing in front of the mirror looking at himself and he says, I am wasting my mom's time. My mom doesn't have time for me. And that was so gut wrenching to me. And I'm like, that I felt so called out, but in a way, like I felt guilty, but it was convicting guilt to the point where I'm like, I need to change my words, the way that I speak to my son. Like I really did a lot of work on myself, but this is an area that I really still needed to work on. And so let's say like I still have moments where I brush his teeth and he's resisting me. And my mind, right, it's telling me, automatic thought, he's wasting my time. I don't have time for this. And I'm so aware of thoughts because I'm in this work consistently. I'm aware of that thought. And I'm like, nope, I have time for this. I can make time for this. It is important to me that his teeth are brushed well. Like no one's making me do this. I'm choosing to do this. Like I can choose to let him not brush his teeth, but this is important to me to teach him good hygiene skills, for him not to have cavities, for me to teach him how to floss. This is important to me, and I'm choosing to do this. I have time for this. I can make time for this. Realistically, I have time for it. I just don't want to make time for it. I have time for this. I can make time for it. Like literally in the moment, I recognize the thought because when you do a lot of reflection, when you slow down and do a lot of pondering and reflection, which we do in my coaching program, that's why I have you do reflection questions. You become super aware of your thoughts, extremely aware, because right now you go through your day, you're not thinking about your negative thoughts. But when we work together, because I make you do this, well, I don't make you do this work. You choose to do this work and you are pondering on a lot of things and reflecting on a lot of things, you start being extremely aware of your thoughts. And then you're like, whoa, wait. Is this thought helping me feel the way that I want to feel? Or is this making me more frustrated and angry? And what is a new thought that I can think? And sometimes you can't think of one. That's when you reach out to me and I help you come up with a new thought. And then you have a similar situation with your son and you're like, oh, okay, this is a new thought that I'm going to choose to think. Your mind is like, oh, this is wasting my time. And you're like, nope, I'm not going to focus on that. I can make time for this. You can say it out loud even if you want to. Like you can literally say it out loud. I can make time for this. I can wait. This is important to me to brush your teeth. Let's do this together. I have time for this. And so you can say it out loud if you want to, or you can just shift it in your mind. And this is kind of like how I do it, because in the beginning, when you do this work, you are, and like the first month, you're just in the stage of extreme awareness. You're starting to recognize all these thoughts and your actions, but you're not still able to necessarily stop yourself. You're just being super in tune and aware. About half through the program, you're able to like catch yourself as you're doing these things and like stop yourself sometimes before you get escalated. And then the last half of the program, or the third of the program, you're able to implement all these tools because all these pieces come together and you're able to see so many positive changes because you're able to recognize what you're feeling and how to redirect those thoughts and how to shift your attitude and how to respond in a different way. And it just lines up so well. But the first stage is extreme awareness. And you're going to be catching yourself like, darn it, like I caught that thought, but I didn't know how to change it. But that's where I'm here. That's where I come in. And that's why you have direct access to me in the program. So then you can ask me these questions. And I'm like, yeah, I'm right here. I can help you. I can help you answer it and redirect those thoughts. All right. Let's see here. Laura said, that makes sense. It's very helpful. You are so welcome. So I had you guys, whoever was part of the email list, I did an offer where I gave you guys an opportunity to win a 50% scholarship if you do a review for my podcast, you come to the live call, and you share my podcast with 3 friends. And Lorena, you actually won the giveaway. So congratulations. You got a 50% scholarship to my coaching program. If you choose to enroll, you have 50% off, which I am really excited. This is my first time doing that offer. And if this is something that you want support in, I am here for you. Also, if you have any more questions, you're welcome to email me. Or if you are ready to say, yes, I need further support, you are welcome to book that free consultation call with me. I have some openings. I opened up my schedule a little bit more next week. So then you have a time to book.
Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi.
I think you have probably answered and mentioned a lot of points to think about because I had a thought, but as you were talking, I'm like, yes, I should probably try those things or do these things. I also have a 5-year-old. It seems like 4 5-year-olds, 3-year-olds are quite tricky. Yeah, we especially at nighttime is like, I want to say the last 2 hours of the day is really tough. It feels like my daughter is like an emotional roller coaster. So emotions are up and then it's down and it's crying a lot. And usually before bedtime, I think, okay, I'm going to be empathetic today. I'm going to remain calm. And then as soon as all the emotions start and it's like crying about this and shouting about that, then it's like I struggle to still remain calm or empathetic. Like now, I would say rather than reacting, I would sometimes just say, okay, I need a minute, and I would just like go out because it has happened that I have yelled, which obviously I'm not proud of. But so I try not to get to that because obviously that scares my daughter and I don't want her to be scared. But I don't enjoy the feeling of getting so, I want to say frustrated or so. It feels like, yeah, I get so angry that it's such a struggle. And yes, I hear the points you mentioned, but don't know if there's another tip or something that's maybe especially for bedtime or dealing with, those frustrations.
Yeah. So are you a single mom or are you married?
No, I'm married.
You're
So
married.
it's,
So
the
that's
household.
helpful. Is he home in the evenings?
Yeah, so we actually do bedtimes together,
Okay.
but I can see for him, I think, yes, like the same. I think we both may be tired at night, and then our threshold is a bit lower to dealing
Yes,
with it. And
yes, you're not alone. You're not alone. So what
yeah,
my husband and I, we have 4 kids. And so we tag team a lot. So it's like if one of us is a little bit more like, lower capacity that day, we will like communicate, hey, I'm like not like this week, which is like I was telling my husband, I'm like, I really feel like I'm like it's like a spiritual attack on me because like Satan knows I am like doing enrollment into my coaching program. I'm doing the boot camp. I think he's like specifically attacking me this week. So I feel more frustrated. And so like, and I was also like the week before my cycle. So I'm like a little bit more on edge too. And so able to recognize like, hey, I am feeling frustrated right now and I need like 10 minutes. Can you please, do this and this with the kids? I need a break for 10 minutes and then I will come back. So that is helpful to communicate that with your spouse and to be able to kind of like tag team that. The other big thing with kids, especially toddlers, the best way to get them to cooperate is to do things in a playful way. The best way is to make things playful and make things lighthearted. Kids just learn through play. They connect through play. And when your kids are connected with you, they're so much more likely to cooperate. I'll give you an example. So one of the things that I teach in my coaching program in the very beginning, we help you craft an I am statement, what kind of mom you want to be. Because right now, you don't want to be angry, reactive, frustrated, short-tempered, but what kind of mom do you want to be? And we come up with several words that are really inspiring the character qualities that you want to have. So one of mine for a while has been lighthearted. I'm lighthearted and playful with my kids. And that's something I would speak over myself and write over in my journal on a regular basis. And this is what's going on. My toddler, it's time to get her ready for bed, to brush her teeth, to put the diaper on, and she doesn't want to. She's resisting, right? Just like most toddlers don't want to go to bed. I don't know what it is with kids. They don't want to go to bed. And then here we want to go to bed, but we got to put the kids that don't want to go to bed first. And And so I would tell myself, I am a lighthearted and playful mom. What would a lighthearted and playful mom do in this moment? She would be playful with her daughter. So when I would brush her teeth, I would make things playful. I would say, okay, can you open your mouth like a hippopotamus would? Like big, 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 big. How about you brush my teeth while I brush your teeth? Can you keep your one eye closed when I brush your teeth? And you just make it more playful and engaging instead of open your mouth. I told you to open your mouth right now. And then that creates that tension and they will automatically shut down and resist. Okay. Versus, okay, like, let's go put on let's go to your room. How about you pick your pajamas tonight? You give them some control. I want you to pick your pajamas out. Do you think if we just throw them up in the air, do you think they'll just land on you if you just put your hands straight up? Let's try it. And you do it in a very playful way. Like I would put the diaper on her and she would try to twist away, like toddlers do. And I would use that time to distract her and be like, can you tell me what sound does the chicken make? What sound does the dog make? And I am engaging and being playful with her. Like, let's count how many fingers you have. I'm still getting her to do what needs to be done. And I'm doing it in a playful, lighthearted way because I am choosing, it's a choice, to be playful and lighthearted. I tell my mind, I'm choosing to be playful and lighthearted. What would a playful mom do right now? Like I'm walking to my daughter's, towards my daughter as I'm getting her ready for bed. And I'm just feeling that tension. I take a deep breath and I tell myself, I'm choosing to be lighthearted and playful. What would a lighthearted mom do right now? What would that look like? And your mind is going to be able to help you come up with things. And so maybe that is something that you could try because kids are so much more likely to cooperate with you when you're lighthearted and playful with them. And then you can say, okay, you can be like, okay, let's set a timer and see if we can get ready for bed in 10 minutes. And when we do, you get to pick 2 books that I get to read for you. I mean, that's engaging. You are helping her, so much more fun versus you being very rough, stern, and just the way that you normally handle things. Which honestly, my tendency, so I grew up in a home where my mom was really soft and kind and tender, and my dad, he's a great guy, but his tendency was to be rough and to be threaten us with spanking. And he spanked us a lot when we were little kids because that was the only way he knew how to parent because that was what he was taught. And I mean, I don't remember much of it because, you're a kid, but I got a lot of the tendencies from my dad. And the reason I started this work and started working on myself is because I would spank my kids out of anger. My natural tendency is to be more like my dad when it comes to my kids not listening and just to be rough and to yank them, to raise my voice, to be very stern, to be just, I would say, just rough. that would be my tendency. And I did not want to be like that. I did not want to be that type of mom. I wanted to be a lighthearted, playful, kind, understanding, compassionate, warm mom. And that's why I started this work, because I wanted my kids to remember me as a loving, kind, soft, warm mom, instead of like the mom that's like rough and unkind and like really stern and super strict. Like you can still have boundaries and still be stern, but like there's still ways to get your kids to do what they need to do without creating all that tension that we normally have. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you. Definitely
Yeah.
something I can try. I
Yeah.
have in the past heard of the playful approach. Sometimes I feel at a loss. Like it feels like I don't have ideas. Like,
Mm-hmm.
especially maybe if I'm already feeling a bit edgy or frustrated, then like I cannot, or I try, and maybe if it doesn't work, or then it feels like I'm all frustrated all over again.
Yeah. So I would come up with a plan right now when you're emotionally calm, what you're going to do. Because in the moment when you feel already frustrated, your thinking brain is offline. And that's the part of the brain that helps you think of ideas. So like right now, maybe when you're driving to pick up your kids from school, or like right now when you're calm in a good state, think of like, what would it look like to be playful during bedtime? Like, what exactly does that look like? What could I do? What could I say? Like maybe we can turn on a fun song. Like how would that actually look like? Because then when the moment comes, you're going to be able to implement that. You're a lot
Okay.
more likely because you already like had a plan what you're going to think, say, and do, instead of like feeling helpless in the moment.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I think
You're
this was
welcome.
very
You're welcome.
helpful. And I actually, when you asked earlier what stand out, Monday I listened to the first day when you said you are wasting my time, and I was thinking that thought often occurs to me because bedtime takes forever. And you said you were just changing, like I have time for this. So that night was also a bit of a struggle. My daughter goes through phases, and now she's at the phase where she only wants me to be there at bedtime. And that when that thought came, I was like, no, wait, I can think that I do have time for this. So it actually did help me handle the situation better or not get as frustrated. So
Mm-hmm.
that was a good takeaway. Thanks.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad that you're able to implement that. And yeah, this is like ongoing work. This is not like a one-time thing, like, oh, you do it once and then you're all better. Like our thoughts, we deal with them all the time. Like we have 80,000 thoughts a day, and maybe like, no, how many? Not 80, maybe 60,000 thoughts a day. 80% of them are negative and 95% of them are repetitive. So in order to change our thoughts, we have to be very, very intentional. They don't just automatically become positive and empowered. Like you need to intentionally work on them. So I'm glad that you're able to implement the things that you're learning from the podcast.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. All right, friends. Well, if there's no more questions, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for coming to the call. I really appreciate it. If you have any friends that have ever been vulnerable enough with you to share with you, like, hey, I struggle in this area, share my podcast with them. I'd really, really appreciate for you to do that. That would mean a lot. And if you have not left me a review on Apple Podcasts, I would really appreciate it if you would do that today. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming, and God bless you, and you have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey mama, do you find yourself snapping over the smallest things, like spilled milk or constant whining, then feeling horrible afterwards? If you're tired of losing your temper and you want to show up with more patience, I have something for you. It's a free training called How to Be More Patient with Your Kids so you're not screaming over spilled milk. Inside, I'll walk you through 10 simple things you can start doing today to become a calmer, more Christ-like mom, even on the hard days. To get it for free, just leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and send a screenshot to hello@emotionallyhealthylegacy.com. Or if you'd rather skip the wait, you can grab it right now for just $27. The link is in the show notes. Let's help you become the peaceful, patient mom your kids need.